A new episode of Real Ranked is going live. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Real Ranked. Today, we are going to be talking about Stanley Kubrick's filmography. Just due to popular requests, a lot of people want to do this one. So, let's bring in who we have for today. We have Colin.
Hey.
And we got Steven.
Hey.
And so, yeah, how are you guys doing today? What are your thoughts on Stanley Kubrick as a director?
I'm all right. A little tired, but that's not new. I really love Kubrick. I did a near complete rewatch and new watch of some of his or most of his movies last year, and actually might have been 2020. But I really grew to appreciate one of film's most iconic directors. I would argue he's up there, if not the most iconic director.
Yeah, that's good, Colin. I'll just jump in. I'm all right. I've been doing a lot. I've been working on homework all day, unfortunately. And my lighting here is not the best. There's not really any good lighting in my room, so you get the half dark, half light. I don't know if holding my hand up will help or any. I don't know. I've done that before, but this is the best situation I think I could get. So maybe I should close my blinds in my window. I don't know. That's okay though. And but Kubrick, he's a good director. He's made some good movies. If I had to vote for objective greatest director of all time, I think he would be the one, or at least in that conversation, if not number one, top 5, no question. I mean, I guess I haven't seen enough full filmographies, but hey, that's what I'll say about that. So.
Yeah, definitely. He is definitely one you could consider the greatest of all time. Just before I bring up the tier list, Cole is saying, why does he have a feeling that 2001 won't be at the top? I don't know. Maybe you'll find out.
I have a bad feeling too, Cole. I have a bad feeling as well. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
So is there a stigma against 2001 here? Because I have it very highly ranked, and I thought.
No, I don't know either.
We'll get into it later.
I think we all have different number ones. Is the one thing I know going into this. So that's why I'm I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Cameron's also saying we can't let that happen. Well, just keep on watching. You'll find out.
I mean,
Cameron has some strong.
Is it going to be worse than Pulp Fiction not being at 1? I honestly think it. I don't know. We'll see. Could it be worse? Well, hopefully it doesn't happen, or maybe it will. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, then why don't we get started with the first movie, Fear and Desire, which I think I'm the only person who has seen this.
Yeah, I skipped it because I was I heard nothing, but I didn't hear anything make it worthwhile. So I was like, all right, whatever. I didn't bother.
Thankfully, I've seen every other film on this list, but I skipped it for the same reason Steven did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Fear and Desire isn't a very... it's not a good movie, but I think it has a lot of themes that Kubrick would explore later in his filmography, and I think just his direction is really good. Kubrick just from the start knew how to direct a movie. The way he films some of the movie, the way the movie is shot is really interesting, and I think the story is definitely messy, but I would still say if you want to watch Kubrick's filmography, you should still watch this one. So.
Get around to it.
Yeah,
I mean, it is only an hour, which that's pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, but
yeah, it's just a good way to
Yeah.
kind of see where he started. So,
Yeah,
it's a D tier movie for me, but yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah, it's fine with
Yeah.
me.
D for desire.
Yep.
All right, Killer's Kiss.
Yeah.
I
So,
guess I can.
yeah,
I guess
Colin?
I can start. Yeah. So not a ton to say about this one. I think it obviously Kubrick has a lot going for him as a director visually, so that's not a weak point in the movie. It's just kind of a boring plot, like a tried plot, maybe is unique at the time. I think I read somewhere that the boxing scene in this did influence how Martin Scorsese shot some of Raging Bull. So I think I got to give it some credit for that. But I'd put it, I'd put it in C tier. Personally, it's just there's a lot better. Like the improvement from this one to The Killing is insane in my opinion. So I think C is a good spot for it.
Mhm.
I I probably wouldn't argue much with that, except that I didn't find myself really bored by it, and I don't think like I think the criticism that it's not really original or unique. I get that because like yeah, it's not like it's just a noir plot, but you know what? I think it's with a noir plot, it's more about the style, and I think the fact that Kubrick has his his background in photography really can he at least shows that early on and like with this movie. So I mean I think there are some shots in here that like I was like, damn, that's really impressive. And it's like this is early Kubrick, so it's like, you know, it only goes up from there. And yeah, I thought it was fun though. It was short too. That's a nice thing about it. Like you
That
can
was
kind of
that was cool.
I could forgive some things because it's short. Like this movie was 2 hours. Like I don't know, they would have had to add more to the plot, obviously, but it's solid. But on the Kubrick scale, yeah, it's probably not up there. But yeah, that's okay. Not. I mean, he's still ironing the kinks out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I would, yeah, I have pretty similar thoughts with to Colin. I think uh like Kubrick knows how to shoot a movie, like I said in Fear and Desire. I think he kind of has like it's definitely a step up from his last movie, and the plot is just more coherent as well. But like Colin said, I think it is boring at times. But then I also just didn't buy into the whole romance that much, and that definitely brings it down a bit. But it's a C tier movie, so I think yeah, I would put it in C.
Steven, you cool with C?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I fixed my lighting slightly, I think.
It
You
does
can
look
see my
better, a
face
little bit
better.
better.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
there
yeah.
we go.
Uh, before we move on to the next movie, Cameron's asking what prolific director's early work is the worst.
I don't know.
Like Steven Spielberg
Uh,
started off really strong.
I'm trying to. I don't know. Like, I just haven't seen enough.
Yeah,
Because usually, when they're a prolific director, you tend to get to their early stuff like last if it's bad. I
Yeah,
don't know. I mean, like there have been some misses certainly. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. And I don't
yeah,
think
yeah.
I.
Nothing comes to my mind like off the top of my
Yeah.
head. But
Hmm.
all right.
yeah, I'll have to think about it.
I mean, like Fear and Desire isn't good, but like I think it's still worth watching at least. So,
Fair.
Steven,
I
let's
don't
go
think
on
one
to you.
miss. Oh yeah, I guess the killing. Yeah, no, I'll just say, I don't think one miss should be counted toward
Yeah,
being
exactly. Like,
like an early work is bad. Yeah, the killing. I think this movie is like pretty underrated compared to the like how people talk about. Oh, Matthew vanished. Well, that's okay. I can talk about the killing. I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, he's back. Okay, you didn't miss anything. Uh, was it Wi-Fi? You good?
it was a live chat bug. For some
Oh,
reason, it doesn't.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. Because I was trying to
Alrighty.
see what
Well,
Cameron
yeah,
said. He's saying definitely not.
Yeah, definitely not Spielberg. Yeah.
yeah. Although he made some bad movies too, everyone. I mean, if you make that many, yeah. But The Killing is, it's solid. It's I don't think there's really any major technical flaw in it. I like this plot is very economical. The non-linear structure adds an extra level of flair to it. It's fun and oh shoot, what's his? I can't remember his name.
The main actor's
Or
name.
the actor
The is yeah, is it the guy that was in the God? It's Sterling Hayden.
Sterling Hayden.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's really good. So yeah, I enjoy it a lot. So I guess I won't
Yeah.
say too much else. I guess the concept is also interesting.
Without you
Yeah.
don't want to like spoil anything, So.
Yeah, I mean, I think also I'm just thinking about it now. I didn't take any notes before this or anything. I'm just spitballing. I think the ending is like very ironic and funny. It's like I don't know. I think it has that Kubrick humor to it in parts too, which I really appreciated. So yeah.
Yeah, you were talking about Pulp Fiction earlier, talking about our Tarantino ranking. This movie is like it's a big inspiration on Reservoir Dogs. If
Yeah.
you like, I'm sure you can tell from watching it, but I just think the heist element and like just it's all super super tight, and like how everything's crafted and like the nonlinear storyline and all that. Just keeps me really interested. And so this is definitely one of his more underrated films. I have it like right in the middle because he just has like he has so many masterpieces. But like I really
Mhm.
enjoyed this one, and yeah, great ending as well. But yeah, don't want to spoil the movie for people who haven't seen it. So Colin,
Yeah, it's like for reasons you guys said, it's a fun film. There's really nothing technically wrong with it, like you said, Steven. It gets better from here, but it's still a lot of fun. I think this is like if somebody didn't want to watch a full filmography of Kubrick but still wanted to get like a good overview of his work, this is the one I'd point to for his earlier works. I think this is the best representative that is still palatable to audiences who aren't as into film as we are. Um, but yeah, like you said, Sterling Hayden is pretty good. It's a very different role for him um, than Doctor Strangelove. And it's funny. I like the ending a lot, and I don't want to spoil it because it's a really good ending. But yeah, it's a fun one. Better stuff is still coming, but I think this is the first B tier. Um, B maybe even
I
I
could
don't
even
know.
put
A
it in A.
seems
Honestly,
yeah
like
A seems fair because like there's nothing really that wrong with it. It's just
yeah,
better stuff is coming. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be fine putting it in A. But B
Yeah.
is
The only reason I wouldn't put it in A is because like the Kubrick scale and not like
Mhm.
regular movie
yeah, that's
scale.
fair.
Like
Mhm.
I mean, I'll just say The Killing is definitely on not even in my top half. So like
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
so it's kind of like we could put it in A for now. And then if we feel
Okay,
like
and then
A is overloading,
yeah,
we could move it down to B.
Mhm.
yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good.
Yeah,
All right.
it's a good
Yeah.
plan.
So there are a few movies that aren't like fresh in my memory, and Paths of Glory is one of them, because the rest of them I saw either last year or 2020, and but I just think yeah, Paths of Glory is just a fantastic movie, and like how Kubrick's direction once again is just incredible. What's Kirk Douglas? Kirk Douglas is just great performance by him, and then just the story of these like different characters in World War I is really interesting. But I don't have a lot more like deeper things to say about it. So, Colin,
Yeah. So this is Kubrick's first great film, in my opinion. I think it's the first that deals with themes. Themes I'm not great at analyzing, but it's heavier than his previous works. Those are more fun than anything. But this one gets a little heavy. The Kirk Douglas has a fantastic performance, and Stephen Kubrick's refusal to use actors more than twice is a little frustrating because I think Kirk Douglas does really well in his movies. Um, yeah, he has to make some really difficult choices here, and it's a heavy film, and it shows the real horrors of war. That 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 opening scene, the opening first couple scenes in the fight to take over the anthill is really really well directed. I think it's his best scene at this point, and I'd even say it's a contender for his top 10 scenes if we go that deep into his filmography. It's a really incredible scene, and I'd definitely recommend this movie to a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I would like to watch this one again. I mean, yeah, I would agree. It's a great film. Uh, I just remember thinking like it got better as it went along for me at least. Is I think all I really knew going into it the first time I watched it was a war movie, and it's the direction it took it really surprised me, and I thought it made for a very interesting layered film. You know, talking about like the casualties of war and you know just like consequences in general and how that plays out. It's very thoughtful filmmaking that I I really liked about it. It's short, economical, things that make for an easy watch, but it's like it has that entertainment value, but it's still uh, not necessarily like light or anything. And I like that about it too. Yeah, there's some really powerful images in this for sure, and I think that ending is certainly gets you thinking. Yeah, it was really great though. But I could say that about like all these movies. So yeah, but Kirk Douglas, great too, like Colin said. Um, yeah, cool. I don't want to go
Uh,
on too long.
I would put this in A tier above The
Yeah,
Killing.
I'd put it above The Killing. A tier is good.
Oh yeah,
Good.
definitely above the killing.
Yeah, I think I have it personally ranked pretty high, but yeah, A tier is good for it.
Okay.
Anything below A would be a disservice, though.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's fine.
All right.
All
Well,
right,
we'll go to Colin for Spartacus.
Spartacus. Yeah, I Spartacus is one that I haven't seen in a long time. Uh, Kirk Douglas is great in it, but I don't remember a ton about it. I'm not gonna lie. I remember liking it when I saw it, but it's really long. It's a really long movie. Like I think it's 3 hours. I think it's his longest movie. If I'm not mistaken,
Oh yeah,
I think it has Barry Lyndon beat by like 10 minutes or something like that.
yeah. About
Um, yeah, it feels like it drags a little in parts. I was also not as into film when I was watching it, so that probably doesn't help. I lost my attention a few times, but that could just be because I was a distracted teenager. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's got all the technical prowess that you'd expect from a Kubrick film, and it did really well at the box office and was like a huge success and won 4 Academy Awards. So even though I wasn't enraptured by it, it still holds up to the test of time. So I think keeping it, I mean, I'd put it in B personally, but I think it'd be hard to argue against A as well for it, low A anyway.
yeah, I like I think Spartacus is a good movie, but I it's weird because like I like Ben Hur a lot and like some of those other epics from that era of Hollywood. But it's for some reason this one I think it's just the corniness of it was a little more noticeable. Um, and I think you can kind of tell that Kubrick was work for hire director. It's not stylistically like his other movies.
Mm-hmm.
Even like The Killer's Kiss feels more like a Kubrick movie. But um, I think it's got like as far as like epic from that era, it's got the things it needs. Kirk Douglas is good. Tony Curtis is good. Uh, there's um, the there's some interesting interactions and like kind of some hinting at like homosexuality, which is interesting for the time period, especially. And the fact that it was written by a blacklisted writer too. That's another one. So it's a very interesting film historically, but I think like stepping away from it and just kind of looking as it is, I was like, I'm not ever gonna go out of my way to watch this again just because it's something I feel like I've already seen and maybe even seen done better. I would say so, done better. Um, but that's it looks fine, or I shouldn't say fine, but honestly, it does just look fine to me. The um, mm, yeah, I mean, it's a well structured story. I think if it had chosen to focus on one element, like focused more on Spartacus, a little bit more on the Roman Republic, a bit more. I liked the senator, or yeah, they were senators. The one with that ended up helping Spartacus at the end there,
Hmm.
um, and also the guy that originally owned him and where they revolted. That guy, I mean, he was nominated for an Oscar. So those two were both, I thought, interesting characters. I guess maybe Laurence Olivier's character was a little one note for me, uh, but it's all right. It's fine. It's a good, it's a fine movie. You could watch worse. It's
Hmm.
good.
For three
Yeah.
hours, for 3 hours watching
Yeah.
worse is a bit of a gamble.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's the one thing about it, though. Yeah, for sure.
Uh, yeah. I think like this is very grand scale, like really, it's an enjoyable epic, but I think I feel like this is when you can like some of Kubrick's films, like there's like a clear like first half and like the second half are like there's like a shift in the movie, and like this is kind of where it starts, I think. Uh, and I feel like I was just more interested in the first half. That's probably the case for like other Kubrick movies as well. But and then I also just feel like because of like studio interference it just doesn't fully feel like a Kubrick movie, and I think that definitely brings it down quite a bit. Uh, yeah, it's definitely way too long as well, but I still like the movie. Just there's definitely those issues that I have that I would bring it. I would say this is a B tier movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would maybe even put it in C.
Hmm.
But so I think I like Killer's Kiss more, just because
Interesting.
stylistically I like it more, and I tend to be drawn towards like noir plots a little more, just because what that can do for story stylistically. So, and like the dynamics, I don't know. I like it. I just That's kind of a more personal thing than like maybe objective quality wise, but
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go as low as C. I mean, yeah, it has its issues for the reason you guys mentioned, but I still think it's a pretty good film.
Mhm.
Um,
yeah.
cool. I
Yeah, I'm
wish I
fine
had
with B
time to
though.
review
We
it again.
keep
Yeah,
on B. That's fine.
yeah.
Okay, I will put it in B tier.
Okay. Well, I've only seen one Laurence Olivier movie, and that is Spartacus. So, at least I think
You should watch Rebecca. You should watch Rebecca.
there was. Oh, I was gonna watch Marathon Man like in January, but then I like something. Then it wouldn't work, so I I didn't watch it. But that's another one that's close
Mhm.
to watching. But yeah,
Uh,
that's cool.
I guess
On to
Cameron
the
likes
next one.
Spartacus. He
Oh,
should ask for
That's for
Spartacus.
sure. Like Spartacus.
yes.
Oh man,
I think yeah, it's we can't go by alphabet, unfortunately, Cameron.
it's a good film. I can't put it above anything in the A category right now, and definitely not in S.
All right. Well, let's move on to Lolita. Steven, I'll go to you.
Yeah, Lolita. Uh, it's a good movie. It's funny. I think it kind of has some of the same issues I had with Spartacus in that maybe the ideas it explores it kind of should have. It's weird because it's like Kubrick's earlier, or like I mean, I guess the killing and paths of glory are like so economical, and then like Doctor Strange. I mean, they're just short, but even then, I would say they are economical films. But like Lolita's very slow and flowy, much more sensory, and I think that works. But to a certain point, you're kind of like, okay, so like I get the gist. Like maybe if they had delved a bit more into the psychology of the pedophile,
Humbert.
would have
Humbert.
Humbert. Yeah, if I couldn't remember, I knew it was the double name. Yeah, if they had, which I hear is what they did in the book, but I do like that he goes for that black comedy angle. I think it works better for a Kubrick movie, especially because I think he works very well comedically as well as any. I mean, he's very he's a very much can do any genre. I think so, and Lolita is certainly ambitious in parts and um, for the time it was very censored and they got around it in interesting ways. But I would say like when he gets married and like that whole sequence, I'm like, okay, like I get the idea, like, and I think it's also a movie you watch again could be better just because knowing how it all comes together made that runtime feel a little more rewarding too. Also, I didn't even mention Peter Sellers. Dude's a fucking beast. What more can be said? So yeah, it's a good movie. Peter Sellers really great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Uh, yeah, I mean, I think this is also, it's a pretty funny movie as well. But and yeah, it doesn't feel like very many directors are able to adapt the story, but I think Kubrick does it really good job just crafting this and making you. And I think James Mason is also good at the lead. Like I think he does a good job of making you want to see what happens to his character, and not like I think different than like I don't really know like the themes of like pedophilia and all that, where it's like, but I think the character, the way he's represented is interesting. Um, like I don't, and the Sue Lion also, I think she does a pretty good job of playing Lolita. Uh, she's like kind of naive, but also like she kind of knows what's going on. So it's like, there's a duality there, which I think she does really well. And then yeah, you talked about Peter Sellers. He's great, just from the first scene till the end. Like yeah, he got a great role. And then just the ideas of like lust and all that is really just I think Kubrick does a really good job of putting that on screen. So, Colin?
Yeah, so this is kind of a dicey subject matter, so the fact that it's good, I think speaks to Kubrick's prowess. I can't say it's amazing, but when I was doing a full Kubrick watch through, this is a nice bit of levity compared to the past two, and then after Doctor Strangelove, it's going to go back into pretty serious films. But this film is quite funny, like you guys mentioned. Peter Sellers being a big part of that, and it'll develop that and be even funnier in Doctor Strangelove. But yeah, I can't add to anything that you guys have said. It's fine. I think it's the last Kubrick film that I really don't love. Everything from here on out, I was either blown away by or really enjoyed. Uh, so yeah, just for that, I don't think I can go higher than B. I think I'd put it above Spartacus just because I think it's much better paced than Spartacus.
Mhm.
Some parts where it's like obviously got censored, or he had to work around what would have gotten censored. It's like a little weird, but I think overall the pacing is a lot better than Spartacus in some of his other films, which is I enjoyed them. This one still pretty tight.
Yeah, I'm cool with the B right above
Yeah, I
Spartacus.
would put up both Spartacus as well.
Yeah, sweet.
Okay. Colin, I think your mic was having some issues there.
Oh boy.
You're good
You're
now,
fine
but
now. I think you might have been covering it up when you were talking,
maybe,
is
yeah.
all.
Maybe.
You
Might
went like this. I don't know.
might send this side though. No, there's no like external microphone. I need a new headset anyway. Yeah, that's fair. Let me switch Wi-Fi networks.
Yeah, it's well, it's I guess I will just say I think the apparently okay, I'm just going off what I've heard about the adaptation of Lolita. I'll just say this really quick because Cole mentioned it. Um, the I guess the character of Humbert is like more explicitly just like a pedophile in the
Mm,
book, and like it's not just Lolita that he's after. And then I guess in the movie they try to make it more like Lolita's the villain too, where like he's just kind of like he's lusting after just Lolita, and he's still a pedophile, but like you kind of feel more bad for him. So I think it's interesting, like sexualizing her. Uh,
yeah.
but
Mhm.
again, it's kind of those touchy themes. But I can see how that's an issue. But I
Mhm.
think it works because of that comedy angle as well. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I think
I
I
just
agree with most of
mentioned.
Steven's thoughts.
Yeah, cool. Who's on Doctor Strangelove?
Okay, so I will start with Doctor Strangelove. Trying to remember when I watched it because I'm like, I don't think I realized it was a comedy before watching the movie, and so I was just like, oh wow, this was really funny, and like just Kubrick is, his direction is amazing. Peter Sellers and George C. Scott give fantastic performances. I think just the satire is incredibly well written, and I feel like I've only seen it once, and it feels like something that I will enjoy even more on a rewatch, just because like knowing it's a comedy, knowing it's a satire, I feel like I'll be able to understand those jokes a little bit better and realize like what it's touching on a little bit better. But yeah, um, this is probably I'll save it till the end. Colin, you can go.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you that it's better on rewatch because I rewatched it last May and I had a blast. I showed it to some of my roommates and it's his funniest film, no doubt about it. But yeah, especially in these times, I think it's become more relevant. I mean, I'm sure people have said this to death about this film, but it's true. It's become more relevant, and sometimes it's in a scary and funny way. Um, Peter Sellers, amazing. Sterling Hayden, incredible performance. I think his performance here is really underrated. I'm going to try to cover my mic. Um, really, really funny performance from Sterling Hayden, and I feel like everything else previously, I feel like maybe doesn't have a such a big pop cultural presence. I think starting from here on out, everything from Kubrick has like this got referenced in one of my classes the other day is my main point. It's just it feels like everything from here on out is a lot bigger, yeah, like I said, presence in pop culture. And I think that's a testament to just how much Kubrick's improved, especially I think I don't know what the period between Strangelove and Lolita is, or but let's see here. What was Lolita's 1962, and then Doctor Strangelove, sorry, 64. Okay, yeah, it just feels like a big jump from Lolita. So he did a lot of improvement in that 2 years, and then obviously we're going to talk about 2001, but it just gets better and better. I'd put this one in S tier personally. I think it's a fantastic film with like almost nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'd also put it in S for sure, just because like all the things you guys have said. I think yeah, Peter Sellers here. The fact that he plays all those characters like made me in Lolita like think that he was playing multiple characters because I was like, oh, I know this time, like yeah, he's playing, and then I was like, oh no, he's actually not. Okay, so I thought that was interesting. Yeah, the one thing I'll say is I think this movie is so good because it's on top of being a comedy. It's not you could still call it an amazing movie and not laugh once throughout the entire thing. Like as a drama and as like thematically, all those things. Like I think it's just as good as the comedy is. So I think that's a major reason why uh, it's so good, at least. And I think that's fair to say. All comedies, like I'll struggle with them if like you know, if you're just like, oh, let's just like get some random SNL actors together and improv and hope some of the jokes land, which is not my biggest. I'm not a big fan of that form of comedy, but I think Doctor Strangelove is a good example of what kind of comedy I do like. So yeah, cool movie.
Mhm.
S tier, no questions asked.
Yes, definitely an S tier for me. So, all right, first S tier on board.
Woo.
And
Yeah.
more to come.
Sorry to add to what you were saying, Steven. I mean, the fact that it's still pretty fucking funny 60 years later, versus like a lot of the SNL comedies out of the late 2000s that people have already forgotten about. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it.
Well, I will say, though I don't really watch SNL. I'm saying more like the movies that
Yeah, yeah, I
have
get
the
what you're saying.
SNL alums.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Like
gonna go with.
I have like some like I had fun watching Blades of Glory occasionally, but like you know it's not the same. There's not as much care put into the craft. Like why can't a comedy have like I think Game Night is a good
Yeah,
example of a
that's
modern
literally
movie
exactly what
that
came to my mind.
like I think that's what everybody thinks of when they think of oh like what's a modern day comedy that actually also tries to be a
Yep. Also tries to be a good movie.
yeah.
You cut out there. Sorry.
Yeah, you can.
Alrighty. Uh,
All
alrighty.
right,
Um,
2001.
Collins.
Before we move on, I just wanted to bring up Cameron's comment saying that it's pretty depressing how few Kubrick movies he's seen, considering 2001 and The Shining are two of his favorite
Ah,
movies.
well, that's okay. You got plenty of surprises left. Yes, as
This
for
is some
Strangelove, it's
strange
more
love.
like it.
Yes.
Step Brothers. You know what? I mean, that's another one. I mean, Adam McKay at least kind of knows how to make a movie, but lately he seems like he doesn't. So I don't know. But it,
Used
I
to.
thought he could make a movie, but maybe he can't. I don't know.
All right. Well, let's move on to 2001.
Yeah.
Colin.
Oh boy. So, this is a hard one to talk about because it's hailed as a masterpiece. Rightfully so. It was my favorite Kubrick film for 24 hours, and then I watched Eyes Wide Shut. We'll get to that. But yeah, there's so much to talk about here. The effects, well ahead of their time. It's amazing. It's a visually amazing movie. It's his best looking one. I guess the argument could be made for Barry Lyndon, but I think 2001 is his best looking movie. And there's a lot of good looking Kubrick movies, so that says something. It I know the complaint a lot of times is it feels long. I think Kubrick's breaking up the movie helps a little bit here because even though they are distinct, like the first part where the apes are in that one place, that doesn't last super long. But then when the one guy, it's been a while since I watched this, but when the one guy goes to space station and then they find the monolith on the moon, and then the breakup into the next part of the movie where they're on the space mission, I think that works pretty well here. Because I think the parts individually are paced fine. So even though it is a long movie, there's that break I think is to the film's benefit. And it's true that first part I don't like as much, but that second part absolutely blew me away. It's fantastic. It's a really nice slow burn. With Hal, absolutely terrifying. I think one of the best movie villains from like the pre-70s easily. Um, and so yeah, it's held up really well. And it's just a really fantastic movie. I guess I could go on, but I'll let you guys talk a little bit here.
Yeah. I mean, it's 2001. What more can be said? It's that movie. Um, I I'm trying to think. I guess I'll just talk about a bit my history with it. Is that I first time I watched this movie was in high school, and I watched it on my fucking telephone, and I I thought it was dumb, pretentious sci-fi movie with uh no real reason to exist other than for Stanley Kubrick to flaunt how amazing of a filmmaker he was. I'm not sure if this was. I think this was my first Stanley Kubrick movie as well, which is weird. I will say, when I was younger, I'm trying to think. I think it was this and The Shining were the first two I watched, and I remember not really getting either of them and thinking they were very overrated. I liked The Shining, but like I thought this movie was dumb. And it got to the Stargate sequence, and I was like, "Why? What the fuck is this shit?" And I did the old fast forward through it, and I'm laying in my bed, and I'm just like, "Why am I watching this?" The movie ends. I'm like, I don't know what any of that meant, and I don't care. Then, flash forward to like a year or two later, it's in IMAX theaters, the Christopher Nolan restoration. I'm like, hey, for some reason, I want to see this movie in IMAX. I don't know why. I thought I hated it, but I something's telling me I should go see it again. And sure enough, it blew me away the second time. I said, yeah, this is a really fucking good movie right here. And so ever since then, I've been on the bandwagon for this one. And I think it's hard to argue against it. It's fucking 2001. It's like one of those movies that if it's like one of the few movies you could argue is objectively the greatest film ever made. So that's pretty much my 2 cents there.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I'll might be a hot take, but I'm definitely lower on the 2001: A Space Odyssey side. But hey, I totally understand, like, it being the best. Like, I definitely, like, objectively, right? Like, it's definitely there. But the themes, I don't really understand. I don't really it's not a story that I connect to all the way, but I do enjoy it. I enjoyed the movie quite a lot, but it's not one of my favorites, even though it's just like it's still like an incredible film, but it's not one of where that like I just really connect to all the way. But visually, it's beautiful. It's probably holds up extremely well. Let me just bring up these comments that they brought up this earlier, but I definitely agree with this too. But yeah, I mean, it is objectively a masterpiece, but not entirely for me. So
yeah,
Totally fair. So a lot of people don't like it the first time I saw it. So like Steven, although you watched it on phone. So
yeah, no, that's the thing. I went from phone to IMAX screening. What a world of difference!
That'd be a major difference.
And honestly, like, I'm not huge on like you need to see it in a movie theater to fully appreciate it, but it's like I watched fucking 2001 on my iPhone 5 SE or whatever. like that was like that's not like even watching it on like a new iPhone would be a much better experience. Like literally, I don't know. Or like if you watch it at a nice TV at home on a Blu-ray, like that's fine. But yeah, it is definitely not ideal. I had no idea what I was getting into. I had never seen anything like it, but hey, in hindsight, I think that was a good thing. I just didn't know it at the time. So I kind of like it for that reason too. But yeah, and I guess I will say one more thing actually that came to my mind. This isn't necessarily an original thought, but someone I follow on Letterboxd, he was like, he watched a movie and he said, like, he was complimenting it because like it was so well intentioned, and I was like, I feel like that's 2001 right there. Like, you don't know what's happening, you don't know maybe why it's happening every time, but like there was intent and purpose behind it. Like, it doesn't feel like they're just like, oh, we'll just do the check mark of I guess we need this scene, so we'll just do it. Like, it's all very well intentioned. Like, you can tell every single shot, every single placement of the camera, which that's just Kubrick for the rest of his career, I think. And Um, but I think this one is probably the best example of that. Yeah. Okay. I'll stop now.
No, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'd put it if I'd put it above or below Strangelove. I'm thinking. Hmm.
Yeah.
Strangelove is a lot of fun.
Yeah. I would definitely put it above it. It's my favorite Kubrick, but so I guess Matthew would probably put it below Strangelove. So
I
it
would put it
probably comes
above.
down to you.
Yeah, Colin.
You
Yeah, I
Yeah,
put
would
it
put it above.
above.
I would put it above. Matthew,
okay.
would you
All right.
still have it? Would you have it? Where would you put it tier wise?
Um, I think it's worthy of an S tier rating, but
Okay, all right, then we
uh,
can put it
I would
above.
definitely I think I prefer Strangelove more.
Okay, I do
Cameron.
think that ends up above though. Oh, which insane and thing.
Yeah, yeah.
David Lynch would be proud.
Okay. We'll go on to Clockwork Orange. That will also be our first orange cat counter. Number
Orange
Okay.
one.
cats.
Oh yeah,
Steven.
that one scene in the. Never mind. Sorry.
Who's starting this time?
Steven,
You. Yeah.
It's me.
Mhm.
Dang it. Okay, this is probably one I just don't have a ton to say about for some reason. I really like this movie, but honestly, I'm not sure. Like, this is one I don't really even know how to talk about because it's just like a movie about a guy who's bad, and then they make him good, and then in the end he's still bad, and that is the character arc. Um, but I think it's an interesting examination of humanity, and Kubrick does it with a very humorous sensibility again, like many of his movies, and I think yeah, that's good. I mean, the fact that he goes to that house twice, and it's very that the way that plays out. Like, I won't get into it just because I think the movie explains. You can watch the movie and figure out what that scene means, but I think it's a very clever way of doing it. Like, shows character very well. It's very funny. And then you have the big strong guy there too, and that's just funny and it's interesting. Um, and all of his buddies and him, it would be funny to just have a movie of him and his buddies just fucking around for 2 hours, but I don't think it'd have as much substance. Um, a shot where he gets, I think Alex pushes one of his friends in the water. I think that shot's it's a cool shot. Yeah, and then there's a lot of statues hinting at what Kubrick would turn those statues into live objects in Eyes Wide Shut. Yeah, that's pretty cool. No, yeah, good movie, good movie. Just I want to put it up top, and it's one for some reason, the more I think about it, the more I'm remembering it. But it was I don't know, it's kind of subconscious, which is interesting because that's that fits thematically with the movie. I'm trying to think what's my I don't know. I mean, the whole thing's just beast. There's not really a moment where I'm like, yeah, that they screwed up there. It's nah, the whole thing. And I like how the movie has Kubrick tends to have a more uh, people will call it a cold approach, but I think it's more just at a distance approach. And I think it works really well for a movie like this because you don't have to condone what Alex is doing, but you can still see the humanity in him. And I guess the movie's kind of trying to be yeah, this is humanity of the character, despite his flaws and what society will do to you. Be you're subhuman because you're evil, but at the same time, he considers others subhuman. So in the end, everyone's I don't know. Yeah, it's got a lot of ideas. It's got a lot of ideas. So yeah, good movie. Cool. Okay. Yeah, Matthew, you
Uh,
next.
All right. Yeah, I feel like I don't have a whole lot more to say because I feel like Steven has like talked a lot more about this movie. Uh,
I'm
and
surprised I did, honestly. I
No, that's good.
don't
That's
know
good
where
because I
that.
don't have a ton to say either.
yeah, I yeah, this one's like not as fresh in my memory, but I just think it is a very interesting look at like humanity and like kind of just like looking at one this character who you shouldn't side with, but it still makes you like sympathize with the situation. Like obviously, he's not a good character, but like um yeah, I think the way Kubrick does that really well, and Malcolm McDowell is also just incredible. But Steven, I feel like you said everything else. So Colin,
Yeah, it's a really solid one. It's really solid. Is underselling it. It's really really good. But I feel like how do I put this? No, just it's kind of like another look at humanity, which I feel like it's a very different approach to looking at humanity from 2001. So the fact that he was able to do them back to back, there was actually a large break, I think.
71 and 68. Right.
60. Okay,
It
not
was
as
three
large as I thought.
years.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm thinking
Yeah,
of later in his career, from like Full Metal to like Eyes Wide Shut.
yeah.
Um,
Every year, every movie, it just ballooned the
it,
time in
it
between.
goes longer and longer. Yeah, yeah. For some reason, I thought there was a bit longer of a break, but it's just I feel like they're two very distinct look at humanity. I think 2001's more epic, and then this one's a much more you know close up look. It's yeah, I don't really know what else to say about it. I remember liking it a lot. I'm surprised. I'm not surprised that it was so controversial at the time, but I think now that it's I gained new acceptance. I'm glad that it's gained new acceptance. I guess my favorite Malcolm McDowell performance. I guess there's not really a ton of amazing Malcolm McDowell performance, but
Halloween.
I think Halloween, yeah. But I think he does. I think he really sells it. You feel bad for this dick. So yeah, I think he does a good job. Yeah, that's all I had. I thought I'd have more to say about it, and I don't. But
Uh,
I'm cool with putting it below Strangelove. I feel like it has I based on what you guys were saying, it'd be above or below Strangelove.
I have it
But
below The Killing.
okay, below The Killing, interesting. I don't know if I go that far. I'd put it above The Killing.
No, definitely not. I would put it a. Oh,
You're good. What are you
Steven?
gonna say?
Hello.
okay. I'd
Mhm.
put. Okay. My internet is shit in this room. Okay. Let me. Let's see if this is anything. How am I?
You're good
You're
now.
good.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
No, you're good.
You're good. You're
Oh.
good.
All right. Hopefully. Am I? Am
Yeah,
I
you're
good?
good. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. You
Speakers.
guys kept freezing.
Yeah.
Um.
Fun.
So I'd go above Paths of Glory.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I'd put it high A, low S, but
Yeah. High A is fine
Okay.
with me.
Okay. I think because I have it low A, I think
yeah,
it just
that's a
goes
good
there.
compromise.
I think
Yep.
that's a good compromise. Yeah.
Yep. That sounds
Hmm.
good.
Cool.
Okay. Well then, oh wait, Cameron in the chat saying I don't think it's paced that well.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's not
Whatever.
amazing pacing, especially compared to 2001.
Yeah.
I would say. Okay. I'm just thinking. You're talking about pacing, like 2001 and onward. Like he's got a very hypnotic style about his filmmaking that he really zeroed in on. That for me, like I don't ever really have pacing issues from here on out. Just the style works for me. So for what it's worth, that's kind of
I would
biased
agree.
too. But
No, I would agree with
yeah,
that sentiment though. So
it's like
Yeah.
he's got a style about it. It's like it can be long, but it's very hypnotic.
yeah, I just kind of accept it. Yeah, I think after
Mhm.
2001.
Cameron Sue's Hill just had to give Clockwork another shot.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Uh, All right. Well, let's move on to Barry Lyndon, and I will start. Yeah, Barry Lyndon. This is some of you guys might know. This is my favorite Kubrick film. Yeah, I've was very scared going into this because I'm like 3,000 or 3 hour long period piece. I was like, oh, okay, wasn't very excited to watch the movie, and then I finished the movie. I'm just like, oh, I've never been this engrossed in a 3 hour long movie before, and it's just like Kubrick manages to create this movie. It's technically amazing, beautiful costumes, beautiful set pieces, like cinematography is stunning. Ryan O'Neal, I think he does a great job at the main character, and Kubrick, like the last movie where he's dealing with themes of humanity again with Barry Lyndon, the main character, a lot that happens to him where that kind of go hand in hand with the kind of themes that Kubrick wants to talk about without talking about what happens in the movie, because without spoiler, yeah, I think it's just a very, very layered and complex character that I found was very enthralling to follow, and the pacing I think is incredible as well. I just like there's an intermission, and so I was like, okay, I think I started the movie at like midnight, and
That's
so
bold. Jeez.
at the intermission, I'm just like, you know what, I'm gonna go to sleep because I feel like I don't know if yeah, it was really more my issue, but I was still just like uh felt like I didn't want to go to sleep, like I wanted to finish the movie and stick through it. But yeah, I will say that the first two thirds I enjoy more than the last third, but I did find the entire thing to just very find it to be very engaging. So
Yeah, I like Barry Lyndon a lot. I don't think I'd have it as entirely as some of the previous ones we've talked about, but it's still a really, really great film. The lighting, obviously, all natural lighting that Kubrick used, it looks fantastic. Like I said, I mean, they're very different, obviously, but I think this could rival 2001 as one of Kubrick's best looking films. Um, yeah, it's really epic, in a different kind of way. We see this meteoric rise of Barry, and then his downfall. Like I think the reason that, again, like I was talking about previously, the two parts, or that Kubrick likes to segment his films a little bit. I think that aids with the pacing. I think that's why you were fine leaving off at the halfway mark between part one and part two. And I wish more movies would do that, honestly, especially now that people are interested in long movies again. For whatever reason, I think it'd benefit a lot of films to kind of segment it a little more, within reason, of course. But yeah, a lot of stuff works for me here. It's just I think this is where the runtime got in the way a little bit. I was engaged for most of it, but like you said, that I think that last third is a little weaker. That's where I started to fall off, not lose interest completely, but Barry's meteoric rise is followed by some stuff. Uh, I won't get into too much into it, because I think people should definitely watch this movie, but uh, it's not as interesting as I think the first two thirds. And this movie makes me wish we had gotten the Napoleon movie, because I think it would have been absolutely incredible. That's all.
That's yeah. Barry Lyndon is a very good movie. Obviously, I think Ryan O'Neal does a good job. You know, because I think like from this moment on, like starting with Clockwork Orange and onward, it's like Kubrick's movies are just like essentially epic character studies. Um, and I think like having to do that, I feel like Ryan O'Neal might have had the hardest task out of all of them. Like you could say Jack Nicholson also had to really carry it. That's probably like, and also uh in the Clockwork Orange, what's his name? Alex. Shoot, who plays Alex? Guys, help me out here. Malcolm
McDowell.
McDowell. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I need to remember my Kubrick actors. Damn it. Okay, but I think he kind of gets you know, a little bit, you know, people tend to say, oh, he's probably one of the weaker Kubrick protagonists, but I think I thought he did fine. Like, I wouldn't really criticize his performance. I think he plays that like guy that's just kind of gets in both really lucky situations and unlucky. He's just kind of like flowing through life. He's kind of a loser, but he's also like puts forth effort, but he's not careful. It's I think he does a good job of balancing that pretty well, making him likable, but also you can sort of laugh at him. You know, in his moments where you're like, what are you doing? Like I'm thinking the opening, it's like that girl he's supposed to that he's like loves or whatever. She's just like fucking with him. It's like, oh, it's that type of movie. This is gonna be great. And there's also the fight he gets into is pretty sweet. I like the fight, and it's just so beautiful, like you guys said. I know I'm kind of going all over the place here, but I mean the beauty, like I think, like even the fight and like when he's in the army and the like that the instant with the food, like and that girl, like they're all like really silly moments, but they're handled with such care, and like they're taken seriously within this world that it's like it's okay if it's a little goofy. It's sort of the I guess yeah, you know, so I think that's something that you don't really see in modern filmmaking, at least by many directors working today in the mainstream, where you get a story about that, you know, has some goofier moments, but they're handled with such care, like, and they're not they're played straight. And I guess, you know, you'd think, oh, a period piece, like obviously it's supposed to be played straight and not goofy, but then you have like but then you have movies like which I haven't seen, but oh whatever, I don't even care. You get the gist. uh yeah, the okay, I just need to shut up. It's fine, it's good. It's one of my favorite
No,
movies.
I get what you're saying. I
The
think
score is amazing. I lost track of my thoughts because I couldn't remember what that movie was called. The Yorgos, the favorite, the favorite.
Yeah.
Like I haven't even seen it, but that's not a criticism of the favorite. More like that's a movie that's sort of like flipping that. Oh, this is a period piece on its head. Whereas like Barry Lyndon didn't need to like try and be like make people believe it was serious per se, but it's like it's able to get away with the goofiness, I think, in part because it's that period piece. Also, I mean, like, I guess, you know, people think, oh, like, film bro Kubrick fanboys, you know, they're gonna take everything so seriously. But I mean, you've also got the moments like the duels and stuff. Like, it's as much of a bro movie as it is like your English teacher's favorite Kubrick movie, you know. So yeah, I'll leave it at that.
yeah, that's apt.
I'd put it above Strangelove.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
I'd put it below Strangelove. Yeah, I'd put it below
Well,
Strangelove.
I have it,
But yeah, you're gonna have it above. So
yeah.
I think
I
Yeah,
think
that's
this is
fair.
fair. Cameron says he's been engrossed in a 3 hour movie 2 times in very recent memory. So yeah, RRR and the Batman, both great
yeah, I was
films.
gonna say.
I was gonna say, I knew he was thinking of RRR. Okay, yeah, the Batman as well. Yeah,
That's
think
the most recent 3 hour long movie I can think of.
Cameron, I think you would love Barry Lyndon. I think you would like it more than the Batman.
Yeah,
I don't know.
think
Yeah, I guess so. But like they're kind of
it's
different.
different.
Yeah, very different.
But yeah, I mean, it's as good as There Will Be Blood, basically. So sure.
Oh, there's a
man.
third one. Which one, Cameron?
3. Dang,
Can we think of it?
I can't.
I don't know.
I'm not looking at his letterboxed.
Well, while we're at that, or this is, we can move on to The Shining.
Yeah, well,
The
One of us
Shining.
can look.
I think that's me.
yeah, Colin.
Yeah. What? I feel like there's so many classics on here, so I don't want to be like, oh, what's there to say about blah blah blah? Because there's like half of this list is just classic movies. But yeah, The Shining was actually one of my favorite movies. So I can't even one of my favorite movies for a really really long time. I think it's the quintessential slow burn horror movie. And I think everything about it, all the performances are fantastic. The score is fantastic. The obviously it's shot well. I probably shouldn't even be saying that anymore because they're all shot well. But yeah, it's a very visually stunning movie, and the Overlook Hotel is just this iconic place, and it's like one of the few times I went to visit the inspiration for it. Obviously, I think it was the inspiration for the Stephen King one, but um, yeah, after I went and saw that, and then I saw this movie, and that's like one of my earliest memories of film, of like really being interested in film. So it has a special place for me, even though it's been dethroned as one of my favorites. It's still a masterpiece, and I mean I think anything less than Pie Ass is doing it a major disservice. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, well, I think this is the one out of all of Kubrick's movies that I think has been honestly maybe talked about the most, at least with our generation.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's just you get so hyped up from a young age. You're like, oh, it's one of the scariest movies ever made. It's Jack Nicholson, Dove, and you get Danny's not here right now. Like it's like and the twins and the blood of the elevator and all these iconic images, and then you find out some of them aren't even in Stephen King's book, and you're like, okay. And yeah, I mean, it lives up to it. This is another one I had to watch a second time to really get because I didn't realize just like it like I expected to be scared when watching it. I wasn't scared, but like that doesn't matter because the movie is a towering achievement of filmmaking, many, just like if some of the other movies on this list, and it's got, I think it's got everything you need to be a classic. It's interesting how like some of these movies were so critically panned upon release, and The Shining is one of them. Is just like really like that's so weird. I guess it might be the humor in it. It is. It's funny in a lot of parts. That like Jack Nicholson. I mean, if you don't see the humor in his performance, like that's fine if you still like it. But to me, I'm like the dude is just he's ramping it up and just going nuts with it. It's like it's fun, um, and it's weird too. The last time I watched this. I watched it with a group of people, and like I could tell that like I didn't really talk much with anyone about it because it was a pretty big group of like I knew like just based on the room like everyone was kind of like wait, this is The Shining, like that wasn't what I expected because like this is a like we're so used to what horror is today, and I don't think people generally knew what they were getting into when they watched it with me, and I don't think people in that time period knew what they were getting into either, but that's like for an entirely different reason almost. It's very interesting how a movie can be seen in one way or misinterpreted in multiple different ways, and I feel like The Shining might be like the prime example of that. Uh, but yeah, and also, I know people like to say, "Oh, Stephen King sucks because he thinks the movie sucks." But I think the book is pretty good too. It's just a different type of take on the story. And if you're going to interpret it your way, Kubrick, go for it. I don't care. I think they both work for what they are. Um, so yeah, I'll just leave it there.
Um, okay, yeah, it's The Shining. I feel like it's just it's been talked about to death. I've talked about it already in when we were doing 80s horror movies, and so yeah, I think we can just go ahead to the rating.
Okay.
Tom?
I
Yeah.
mean
About
it's
Barry
tough.
Lyndon.
Oh, I wouldn't put it above Barry Lyndon, but I can put it above Doctor Strangelove.
that's where I would put it.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay,
Okay, there we go.
cool. All right. Well then, let's go. Wait. Okay. Wait. Cameron. Also, I didn't want to bring this up when you were talking. So,
What should have won Best Picture?
yeah, drive my
What
car.
one?
Oh yeah,
What?
yeah. I looked that up while Colin was talking because I was like,
Oh, okay.
oh, Colin has to start with The Shining. Yes. I looked that up. I saw Cameron has it very high in his all-time rankings. I was like, oh, damn, did not know. But we don't need to talk about that, I guess, because that's he doesn't. We don't want to put him out in the open. You don't want to get exposed like that, even if you like a good movie. So,
Gotta be careful.
All right.
yeah,
Well then,
okay. Full Metal Jacket. It's me
yeah,
first, right? So,
yeah.
dude, this movie's a riot. It's great. The first hour is listen. Everyone loves the first hour, 15 hour, whatever it is. I don't know, and then all the virgins say, "Oh, once they go to Vietnam, it sucks because it gets boring and they aren't doing the haha, the funniness, the army jokes, and it's just a generic horror movie." I don't know. I don't know what people are talking about. The whole thing's fucking awesome. So, go, yeah. Full Metal Jacket's great. I mean, I don't see how you don't find it funny when the first scene in Vietnam is the fucking prostitute going up to him being like, "Hey, are you horny?" And it's like, like, it's funny. I don't know, but yeah, and then it gets really dark. That ending like hits you like an atom bomb, too. So, yeah, I guess I've been saying a lot, so I'll
No, you're
just
good. You're good.
Full Metal Jacket. What can be
Uh,
or yeah, yeah, but I will say that that beginning is like the fastest moving first act of a movie I've ever seen, probably, or one of the. I shouldn't say ever, but like if it flies by, dude. So
yeah. No. The first half is incredible. Like, uh, and because of how great it is, it's just like it's hard for the second half to like match that. Uh, but I still like the second half, but I just feel like it's hard for it to reach the heights of the first half of it. And then just an incredible depiction of like how gritty war is and like the effects it can have on a human, like just how Kubrick displays that is incredible. So yeah, it's, it's great. Colin?
Yeah. So I like this film a lot. I think Matthew Modine's Joker is like one of the more underrated Kubrick protagonists because like you guys said, the movie's very funny and he's definitely a part of that. But he also really sells the horror that the movie ends with. So yeah, I mean I think he gets really undersold because like he's not one of the main actors that people like point to for good Kubrick performances, but I think he's up there with the best of them. And there's like you guys said, that first half, it's like I know what you're saying, Steven, but that first half is really amazing compared to the second half. And the second half is still really good. That first half is absolutely incredible. And Vincent D'Onofrio does a really good job of that private who descends into kind of madness under R. Lee Ermey's fantastic general or drill instructor. Um, but yeah, it's really funny. All of them, I guess, are kind of have that interesting kind of humor where you could still really enjoy the film even without it, but it just adds to the film. I don't know if I'd go as far as to say it's better than anything we have in the S tier currently. I think the pacing in that second half is a little weird, but I'd feel fine putting it in S tier. It's a great portrayal of war. I think it's the stronger of the two war movies that Kubrick has done for sure.
yeah, it's my second favorite Kubrick
My
movie
second
actually,
favorite as well.
but
Oh, all right, well,
but at the same time, like I guess it's not fair to say I have seen a few of the others, so like I haven't seen some of them in a bit more time, but yeah, I'd still put it number two for me.
Yeah, that's fine. It's a good movie.
I'm having a problem because I'm like I can't put it above Barry Lyndon, so I have it above The Shining.
Okay, well, I'm fine with that. We can move it below Barry
Ah,
Lyndon.
Shining, low S tier, whatever. That's fine.
Yeah, that's not a knock against The Shining.
Yeah, I mean, any S tier, they're all so close in quality.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, our last movie then it is Eyes Wide Shut. Uh, this one is in yeah. I haven't seen it since 2019, but just like I still really I still have like very strong memories just about the atmosphere of the entire film and like the score that like that keeps on repeating and just what Cruz and Kidman like their portrayals of these characters are they are incredible. Um, I'm trying to think of like what else I could say because like it's just not fresh in my memory, but it's like the there's a lot of themes about it's like sex and like well there's definitely like some deeper themes there that like I can't really talk about because it's not like as fresh, but I just like remembering the first time that I watched it. It was just very dreamlike and ominous. Like, yeah,
Yeah. I think you nailed why I like it so much. The score, I I think this is a better horror movie than The Shining, to be honest. I think the score usually doesn't
Oh
have a
yeah.
major effect on why I love a film, but this is one of the few where that has been the case. This film score, yeah, maybe a little repetitive, but it works. So yeah, and then Tom Cruise being tired as hell after a billion takes, I'm sure. It really, yeah, it contributes to that dreamlike atmosphere. Um, and it's just I guess I can't talk a ton of why I love it without getting into kind of spoilers, but it's like a quest movie almost where he's trying to get all this information and just all these places that he goes to, and just everybody that he meets does a really all the actors that he meets do a really great job of this. Yeah, it's all dreamlike, and uh, I don't know. It's one of those films that I can't put a finger on why I love it so much and why I have it at the top. I'm aware it's definitely not everybody's top choice, but it's definitely stuck with me a lot longer than I thought it would. Because it's not usually at the top of Kubrick's filmography. People kind of consider this like a downgrade after his run, and then he passed. So it's seen as kind of almost a me. I viewed it as a kind of a black sheep in his later filmography, but the fact that I was so blown away with it really impressed me.
Yeah, I think the tide has kind of turned on this movie a bit. I think its initial release, it's also his most recent movie by far, and as a result, I think like it's probably the only movie we can remember that was like that we were like still alive for, and we can remember people talking about it like, oh, like it's his lesser movie because I feel like most Kubrick movies when they're released, it's people don't they're not usually quite as well received. So, um, yeah, don't mind the Bulls game. But the yeah, it's quite the undertaking. I think it's as ambitious as any of his other movies. There's so many ideas and themes at play here. It's very, but it's still very fun too. There's a lot of um, funny moments. I think the fact that you can talk about like an intimate couple and still also go into like cults and these ambitious stories. Again, it's that Kubrick intimate character study within this epic tale. And so yeah, I'd put it up there for sure as well. It's just as good as any of his great stuff, I think. So yeah.
yeah. Um, I think I have it in S tier above The Shining.
I would do that too,
Yeah.
actually.
Man, unfortunate because The Shining has to go down another one, but I love this movie a lot, so we'll let it go. We'll go there. I'm not going to argue too much against that because
Yeah.
that's higher than I thought it would be.
Honestly, this list is playing out quite nicely.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
turned
I
out better
mean,
than I thought it was. I thought it was gonna be like
I
really,
think,
really all over the place, but yeah, this is good. Or really
yeah, I
stacked in one
think,
area or whatever.
it's Kubrick, so a lot of S tiers, but yeah, he's just an amazing director. So
Yeah.
I think it's warrants being top heavy. Uh,
Well, there you go, Cole. 2001 made it to the top.
yeah,
yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
wasn't gonna let it go down. I
And
didn't really
then
have to argue though, so it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody else is cool with it here. So
Cole said this earlier, but I didn't want. I wanted to bring it up now.
Well, you
yeah,
can, you just suck. Actually,
yeah.
like
Glad
you
you're not
just
on this.
suck.
Glad you're not on this
I
panel.
thought you wanted. You shouldn't you be happy? 2001 is number
Yeah,
one.
I
Like,
I
come on.
thought. Yeah, I mean, I was
Thought
because
that's all you cared about. He never complained about the placement. He just said it was annoying. It's because Cole has a teensy tiny attention span, and he can't handle big brain movies like Eyes Wide Shut, where people do crazy things and stuff. Hey,
does he like Harry Linda?
yeah, it's a it's a movie for big brain people. I
Big.
wouldn't expect the smooth brains to comprehend it. Give it 10 years,
10
you'll love
years.
it. Cole. 10 years. It's
It's
like every other Kubrick movie. You
already
know,
23 years old.
the tide is turning. The most recent Kubrick movie before that was
87.
Full
Yeah.
Metal Jacket. So like
12 years
you know,
prior. Kind of crazy.
that's quite a big difference.
Wasn't Full Metal Jacket received well on release?
Yeah, that one was I think Frank Capra called it like he said that first hour or some he said it was like the best movie he'd seen. It was like the first hour of that movie. I don't even know, but he said I think it was Frank Capra that said that it was like the best movie of the decade or some like the first hour. I don't know. It's some IMDb trivia, so you guys can look it up. I don't know.
Interesting.
It's not that hard to find.
All right.
Yeah, hey, I'm pretty happy with this ranking.
Yeah,
So
this list is cool.
Mhm.
I'll take
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I'm excited
So-
for Cole to listen to this part later on after his match. But
Oh, his match is going on right now. Oh yeah, it's at 9. Okay.
let me just finalize our collaborative list for our audio listeners. So in D tier, we have Fear and Desire. And then the next one up is in C tier, Killer's Kiss. Bottom of B, we have Spartacus. And at the top is Lolita. Bottom of A is The Killing. Then Paths of Glory above that. And then A Clockwork Orange. And then at the bottom of S, we have Doctor Strangelove. Then The Shining. Then Eyes Wide Shut. Then Full Metal Jacket. Then Barry Lyndon. And at the top is 2001. So, yeah.
Yeah, I guess one thing I would say actually, I honestly I could put Clockwork Orange and Paths of Glory in S, but I don't think we need to
I'm
do
cool with
that.
him. I'm cool with him there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
yeah.
I
They
honestly could
yeah.
accept that. Is what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Argument could be made. I think they're S tier, but I think they're okay with that too.
Yeah.
I think
No, it would be interesting. I mean, there's only 3 of us, and I know some other people who have very different opinions than what we do. So
Yeah,
All right.
glad we
Yeah.
got all the like-minded people on the same panel.
So,
Yeah.
thanks for being here. And thanks to everyone in the live chat. We got Film Composers bracket on Thursday,
Yeah,
April
I'll be there.
7th, 8:30 p.m. So,
What's at 8:30? I didn't know what time it was. That's true.
and I think that's it for today. Do you guys have anything else you want to say before?
Nah. Let's get out of here already. Damn it. We've been
All right.
talking about Kubrick too long. I just want to watch Kubrick now. Come on.
Exactly, but I don't have time because I have more homework. Sad.
Yeah, that's true.
That's all for today. We'll see you on Thursday. Bye.
Bye.